So my name is Patrick Reamer. I'm the library manager for the Pleasant Hill Library, and I want to thank all of you for coming tonight, this afternoon, I guess, this evening, to share an hour with Amy Erez. She is part of Sugi Health, and she's been practicing health arts and health education for over 35 years, for quite a while. And just on a personal note, I feel so fortunate that I have met Amy through my work in the library. And I knew that I wanted to be able to connect Amy with other members in the community, in the broader community, when I got to see her work firsthand and to see her caring wisdom and her expertise in the healing arts put to practice in my library with families of young children. Amy saw the challenges that caregivers face these days and offered generously her help in supporting families. And ever since then, Amy and I have been working together to try to use the library as a platform to share what she has to offer, the special gift, which is to care for each other. And hopefully tonight you'll learn some techniques to do that self-care. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy. Again, throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We're going to ask that folks stay muted just so that we can keep things together. We do have a lot of folks participating, but please put your questions or contributions into the chat and we'll try to respond to those. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Patrick. So again, I'm just going to request if people are comfortable putting on their videos, because as I'm talking, I'm also monitoring what you're doing, because I'm not just going to be lecturing at you. I'm going to have you doing some activities. And so if I can't see you, I can't assist you and say, oh no, try doing this a little bit instead of that. So if you can, it would be really helpful for me to be able to see people's faces and what's happening for you in your activities. Did everybody get a copy of the little handout that Patrick sent? No? No, yes, no, it came with the link for the Zoom. And I wanted you to have it in front of you so that you can follow along more easily with what I'm talking about, because in my world, practical is most valuable. Yeah, go ahead and check. Yeah, please take your time and take a look and see if you can find it, because it'll be helpful for you to be able to have that as a visual as we go along. Of course, I'll demonstrate in front of you on the camera, that'll help. And I'm gonna have you doing some activity as well. So it's just important to be able to do that. So while you're looking and thinking about that, yay, it's an attachment in the email. Great. People are finding it. So and what I'm going to do is go through as much of this material as I can. As Patrick said, I've been working with people both privately and in groups for over 35 years, helping them to take care of themselves and their health, their families, their well-being throughout a wide variety of different parts of life. And so my commitment to people is about giving you tools for healthy living so that you can take care of yourself and you no longer need me. That's my goal. So I have always, from the very beginning, taught and provided very simple activities that people can use in their day-to-day lives, whether they're at home or in an office environment, at school, whatever environment you find yourself in. Life has been extremely stressful, as we all know, more so than ever in the last year and a half. People need a little bit more than they might normally need in support to help themselves to stay calm and feel good about what's happening in life. So what I'm providing today is a few exercises. The first two are taken from the practice of Tai Chi Gong, which is something I've taught for over 25 years and practiced for 40. And that's a Chinese healing art and martial art that is utilized to get energy flowing through the system, which in turn helps to diminish symptoms, whether they be physical or emotional. So you may have known about like acupuncture. It's the same, philosophical background and theoretical applications as acupuncture, except that it's through movement instead of the hands-on activity that acupuncture gives. So feel free to interrupt, within the chat if you have questions as we go along, because since I can't see most of you, I don't really have a sense of what you're familiar with. I love seeing your heads nodding. Don't try to resist responding, because that way I know that, you're hearing me and you're absorbing what I'm offering. Okay, so it's always strange to do these things online. Normally I do a class like this in person, so we all have to just figure out how to adjust. So I wanted to start us today with a form of meditation that comes from Tai Chi Gong. And this can be done both in sitting and in standing. And I like to start with it because it's about bringing attention to ourselves. So those of you who are cozied up on a couch, you might want to consider seeing if you can get some chairs instead, even if I can't see all of you at once. Because what's nice to do is to have, I'm going to just push back so I'm a little further from my camera. You're not going to be able to completely see me, but what I'm doing is I'm sitting, I'll show you just briefly. I'm sitting on the edge of my chair, right? So that my knees are out from my hips and I'm sitting on my sit bones. So if you're sitting, you can sit like that. And otherwise you can stand with your feet underneath you so that the feet are underneath the hips. And in sitting, just rest your hands on your legs. And then standing, your arms are hanging by the sides, okay? So just go ahead and close your eyes. You won't need to see me for this. If you can hear me, that would be great. Oh, good, you're back. Hello. And just close your eyes and start to pay attention to yourself. So I call this scanning through the body. And when we're scanning, what we're doing is we're letting our awareness wander throughout the body. It can be sequential if you want. You can start at the toes and work your way up through the legs and then into the hips. Paying attention to the spine as you bring your attention all the way up, one vertebrae at a time. And then it comes up to where the neck meets the head. And you can take a side journey and sense what's happening in the shoulders and the arms. And then imagine that you have a cord that's rising from the top of the head. And that cord is attached to your spine. It's like an extension of your spine. And it's reaching up into the heavens above you, helping you to stand or sit in an upright position. And as you do that, it allows the breath to calm, to deepen, and become easier. Once you've gone through this, you can begin to look around in different areas of the body that I hadn't named yet. Maybe you have a spot that is bothering you a lot, and so your mind will automatically go to that spot. And that's okay, you can say hello to it. And then move on to another area until you look for the areas that aren't complaining. I want you to notice also the body parts that feel relaxed and happy. Because we want to welcome those parts of ourselves. Those are the parts that are healthy. And as we observe ourselves, we begin to allow those healthier, happier places to expand, and they begin to embrace the other areas surrounding them. So over time, your whole body is feeling relaxed and connected. And then bring your attention to your lower abdomen and the feeling of the breath. Inhale fully into the belly, and then also exhale completely. A lot of people don't think about the second half of breathing. We want to also exhale fully, because when we exhale, we're getting rid of all of the waste that's coming out of the lungs. So especially if you have allergies this spring, or you've had asthma or other issues with breathing over the years, you want to make sure that you completely expel the air, and then that'll allow in for a deeper breath and more oxygen, which is just so life-giving and valuable for us. So I'm going to get quiet for just a few moments while you pay attention to your breath. And as you do that, continue to allow yourself to be aware of what's happening in different parts of your body. So if you find that you're getting uncomfortable for some reason, things are feeling stressed, then we want to move away from that, adjust your position so that you're feeling comfortable again. So just take a moment for a few quiet breaths. If your mind begins to wander, just gently nudge it back to the breath. And we'll return to ourselves. This is a very shortened version of this exercise. It's something you want to spend 10 or maybe 15 minutes doing. Once you go through all the scanning and everything, it can take a little while just to get ready to sink into it. So I want to just give a moment if anyone has comments or questions here. And welcome to those of you who are just showing up. Simple. I know one of the things that people find frustrating about meditation is that the mind stays very busy and going. And so what I want you to take away with you from this experience is that when you do this on your own, you'll have time to bring your mind back to the body awareness. So a really key part of this approach to meditation is that you're constantly observing yourself. You're looking for even the smallest little cues or hints of sensation, discomfort, or relaxation, noticing, oh, all of a sudden, oh, my shoulders drop down, right? You just notice all of these details as you sit and pay attention to the breath, because that's what keeps the mind busy. The busy mind is the hardest part about any kind of meditation. And I prefer this style because it gives my mind something to do while I'm becoming quiet inside. And so it's more likely to cooperate with you if you give it a little helpful task. So that's my approach. All right. If there are no questions, I want to go on to the next activity. The next one is called standing or sitting wipers. And again, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see me. Maybe I'll scoot back just a little bit further and see if I can give you a better view. I'm still, that's a little better. That's a little better. I'm still sitting on the edge of my chair. And again, if you want to stand, you can. But if you're sitting next to someone, arrange yourself so that you have room for the arms. Because what we're doing here is we're doing a form of movement that is not only associated with Tai Chi, but is also taken from a form of neuromuscular re-education called Sugi touch. And what we're doing here is we're not just, exercising. People think, oh, I've got to move fast and I got to work hard and I got to get my blood flowing. That's not what we're doing in this. This is about engaging the nervous system so that it learns how to move more effectively. So what we're actually doing in this exercise is we're moving the spine. And we're moving the spine through the process of moving the arms. So I'll describe this for you and demonstrate it. And I want you to try it. And this is the part where I wish I could see you, because what a lot of people do is that they start letting the secondary arm move when it should be stationary. So I won't be able to kind of remind you. I'll just say it anyway, but just because I'm used to that happening. So what you want to do is get in your stable position, either in the chair or standing, and then put the arms out so that they're shoulder height. The palms are facing each other. You're not real far apart. You want to be right in front of your shoulders. So the hands aren't touching, but they're not outside of the shoulders at this point. We're going to start with the right arm. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your eyes on your right hand and watch it as you very, very slowly, look how slowly I'm moving. Very slowly open the arm while you're watching the hand. And over time, you're going to find there's a place where the body says, no, I don't want to go any further. And then you're going to slowly, slowly, slowly come back and bring it into place. The whole time you're watching the hand that's moving. The other hand is simply staying in place. Now, you can rest your arms for a moment. So the way in which this moves the spine is that as you get wider, and I'm not going to go real wide right now because of my own situation, but as you go wider, what starts to happen is that the shoulder gets engaged and it's attached by the collarbone to your spine. And so, through that, well, I'm not going to go through all the anatomy, but through the rib cage and then therefore the spine. So what ends up happening is that as the arm opens more and more and more, the spine wants to twist and the hips want to get involved. So you're not trying to stay stationary. It's not like an exercise where you're isolating, right? Isolating muscle. Rather, what you're doing is getting more of the body engaged. And the way to do that is to watch the hand with the eyes, because then the whole body will move together. And then the other hand is stationary, okay? So let's try the left side. Now, putting your arms up again, keeping in mind my description, follow it very, very slow movement, slower than you think you need to go. And let yourself breathe. The eyes stay in contact with the hand. And some people can twist all the way around behind them and still see the hand. So you don't want to just try to twist all the way around, because that's not useful. If you can't let your head go with it and follow the hand, then you're not getting a healthy movement. So then bring it back very slowly, watching the hand and resting. All right. Now, as we do these movements, we also want to be breathing, paying attention to the other parts of the body, and noticing how we're feeling, because the danger with this particular exercise, not that it'll hurt you danger, but that you won't get the full benefits from it if you don't do it well. And so that means that the slower you go, the more opportunity you have to be paying attention to what's happening in your body. And what'll happen is if you do very small movements, you don't have to go really big to improve. In fact, less is more with this kind of movement. because when we do less, then we're actually talking to the nervous system, and the nervous system has time to respond and make changes. And so that means that if I'm doing a movement well, that means I'm listening to my body, I'm not causing pain to myself, I'm being respectful of myself, then what happens is the movement stimulates the nervous system, which goes up into the brain. And the brain, you know, that's the king up there, the brain of the nervous system. And then when you rest, and I know right now it seems like I'm just chattering, but what I'm doing is I'm giving you time to rest so that your brain integrates the changes that you just asked it to do through the movements that you were doing. So that's the general idea on that one. And I have a whole slew of those kinds of exercises. And it's a mindset that's quite different than the way that we normally think of when we do movement. So anytime you have pain, limitation, discomfort, and that can be caused by, you know, emotion, maybe it's anxiety and you're not breathing well, or you're getting all tense in the shoulders, or your back goes out, whatever, however that manifests. Move slowly. Stop. Do this little meditation, this scanning thing where you're moving through your body, you're noticing, you're observing, and remember to look for the areas that aren't tight. Look for the areas that actually are relaxed. And that can be hard because for some people, pain is all-encompassing and we get distracted by that. So yes, acknowledge your pain and then look beyond it, because a lot of times the pain creates extra tension that isn't necessary and makes it worse. So if we start to observe, then we can actually reduce our pain by getting rid of the excessive tension that's adding to it. And these are both great exercises to do that. Again, a little pause if anyone has comments or questions. And I want to just say, while I'm giving you a chance to respond, those of you who've arrived a few minutes later, we are following a handout that looks like this, that was attached to your email that Patrick sent for you to join the Zoom class. And it's really helpful to have that. No questions? Okay. We'll keep going. So this next section is from Sugi Touch, which, as I mentioned before, is a form of neuromuscular reeducation that my husband founded and has been teaching for a number of years. And I love this particular exercise. I think it's my favorite because it's really easy and profoundly effective. And this is rolling the fingers and toes. Now, I'm not going to have you do your toes tonight. That's fine. But I will show you how to do your fingers. And I want you to go all the way through this with me. For some people, they like to have a little pillow. I'm going to lift my hands where you can see them. But for you to be comfortable, you can consider putting a pillow on your lap, or, you know, I don't want you to hold your hands up high like I'm doing. You know, I want you to let them be at rest, because that will help to reduce the tension that you're holding and allow you to just relax into the exercise. Okay. So in rolling the fingers and toes, what we're doing is we're creating movement. And the movement is very small and subtle, and it has an effect from the fingers. You might not think about this, but the hand is designed where these bones go all the way down through the hand and connect to the wrist. And there are many, many tiny little bones in the wrist here. And then from there, the wrist bones connect to two larger bones that make up the forearm, which then connect to the elbow, and I don't know how to show you this, and go from the elbow up the arm to the shoulder, okay? So even though I'm only working on my fingers, my entire upper body ends up getting engaged from this activity. And I will emphasize over and over and over and over again, less is more. So don't do this fast, don't do it hard, and don't do it excessively long either, because people think, oh, well, if I do it a whole bunch, then it'll be better. No. In this form of movement, what we want to do is stimulate the brain. We want to give it a message that says, look, I'm giving you information. And we do it a few times so the brain goes, oh, I hear what you're saying. And then you give it a break and the brain can do its little thing in there, like the little computers that we have in our lives, right? And it sorts it all out and it figures out and it says, oh, if I change this, this, and this, and this, then it's going to be even easier for her to do that movement. And that's the miracle of this form of movement. It's quite profound if you do it well. If you overdo, then you're just going to hurt yourself. And that's not the goal here, right? The goal is to feel better, get rid of the stress that's collected in the body, and breathe more deeply. Okay? So we're going to start with one thumb. And again, I don't need to see your hands. I want you just to be relaxed. Have them relaxed in your lap. And you're just going to be rolling very gently, a few times. And what you want to look for, I don't know if you can see it, but what you want to look for is that slowly, gradually, movement starts to come down into this lower part of my hand. And that might not happen at first, and that's okay. You just do it a few times. And then if you want, you can do a very gentle pulling on the digit. Just really light. And what it does is it connects down that line all the way into the arm. But mine isn't so much because I have my arms up. So if you have your arms nice and relaxed, you're going to feel that more. And then do the other finger, next one. And let your arms down on your lap. Don't hold your arms up. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's why I like to see people, to remind you. Normally, I wouldn't be holding it up, but it's because we're dealing with this camera thing. Right? And after a few times, go to the next finger. And what I want you to do is I want you to do this slowly and mindfully enough that you start to notice that you take deep breaths. Because what happens is that as the nervous system begins to relax, the breathing starts to come in spontaneously. And it's a great way to know that you're doing it well when all of a sudden, you just take this glorious breath, right? So look for that. Look for that. And then the next finger. And I haven't been pulling on each one because we have a lot of material and I just wanted to demonstrate. But with each of these, you can also pull a little bit. And then take a moment to rest. If you've had your hands up, drop them for sure. It's really better to have them dropped. And then we'll do the other hand. Starting with the thumb. And get those hands down on your laps. Right, I know you're trying to mimic me. This is why I like to be in person. But you'll be able to do it on your own. So really gentle on the other thumb. And you can lengthen it by pulling just a little bit. And then move on to the next finger. And hopefully people are breathing. I can't see you, so I can't tell if you're breathing deeply, but I'm hoping that you are. And then the next one. And the next one. So each finger gets the same amount of attention. And if you have a finger that's troublesome, don't spend extra time on it. And rest. That might seem like a very strange instruction. Don't spend more time on the finger that bothers you. The reason for that is because since we are working to create a healthier and more efficient form of movement, we want the injured finger to follow the healthier fingers. And so if we put more emphasis on the unhealthy one, then it actually brings the attention to that finger, and the others are more likely to try to copy that. So we want to do an equal amount on all of our fingers, and you'll find if you do this on a regular basis that any problems that you have with like carpal tunnel, mouse thumb, all the weird things that start to happen, this is even going to affect you all the way up into your shoulders, your neck. If you do it regularly, it's just going to get easier and easier. I had a man in a class one time who came to the class. This was one of the exercises I taught. And he told me after the class that he had had a searing pain in his hands for weeks. And he didn't know what to do about it. And he was afraid to go to a doctor because he thought they might tell him he needed surgery. And he came to the class, and by the time we were done with this exercise, his pain was gone. It was gone. And he followed up with me, a few days later, and he said it was still gone. So this is very practical, real things that you can do. You just have to do it, right? I can teach it to you here, but if you go away and then you don't ever use it, it's not going to help you. So please follow up for yourself. This is for you. This isn't about me, it's for you. And so take the time with yourself like you're doing right now to utilize these tools that I'm giving you. Okay, other questions that are coming up or even comments, if you felt something changed, please put it in the chat so that we know, right? I'm glad to see another smiling face there. Thank you for putting your camera on. Anybody? Okay, we have a quiet group. That's fine. I'm used to talking, so I'll just keep talking. All righty. So hopefully you have your piece of paper because this next series is about acupressure. And I'm not going to have time, I don't think, to show you all of these points, but you can look for the ones that we miss on your own. And if you have trouble with them, contact me. I always welcome people to connect with me. No question is a stupid question. And it's inevitable. As soon as we go offline, you're going to go, oh, I wanted to ask her that. So email me, phone me, the information's on the sheet, whatever it feels comfortable to you. Don't hesitate. I'm happy to spend a little time with you. So what we're doing, acupressure, I mentioned acupuncture earlier. Acupressure is like needleless acupuncture. So it's utilizing the same concept of Chinese medicine and the energy or qi that flows through the meridians, which are the pathways in the body. And these pathways go throughout the entire body. I mean, everywhere from the palate in the mouth to the tips of your toes, they're all over the place. Hold on, here's a comment. I love this, thank you. I could feel the relaxation happening as we finger rolled. Wasn't expecting that. Wonderful. Thank you for your comment. This validation is so helpful for the other people in the class because I'm the teacher. Of course, I'm going to say it works, right? But for you to be able to say to each other, wow, I actually felt something happen is incredibly profound. Right? It encourages everyone. So that's why I love comments too. So thank you very much for stepping out and offering us that. So acupressure works through little energy points that run along these lines, often thought of as like rivers in the body. And the rivers break up into small streams. And so there are offshoots, kind of like in the circulatory system, where if you think about the circulatory system, there's the main veins and then there's the side veins, right, where the blood flows through. Well, this is the same, except that it's chi, it's energy, it's life force. And so what happens is when we're under a lot of stress, and, you know, really, the truth is that we're always under a lot of stress. It's just been even more intense than usual. But day-to-day life in the Bay Area and San Francisco, right, is always go, 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 unless you're retired and, you know, playing in the garden. But it's a stressful lifestyle we have here in general. So what happens is that when we have stress, and that can mean sudden changes in weather, like we've had a lot of wind recently, and wind is associated with the element of spring and wood, and its emotion is associated with anger. So have you ever experienced being out in the wind and coming back and being like, kind of like, you know, grumpy and I don't feel, you know, antsy and uncomfortable? That's wind energy that's triggered that within you. And so each element has a different quality and a set of associations. And when we experience different things in life, then that can create a constriction in the points along the meridians. And that constriction cuts off the flow of the chi. And when that happens, we literally can get physical and emotional symptoms resulting. So that means that the person who said she could feel things starting to change as she rolled her fingers, that means that we created a change through a subtle movement. It got the chi flowing as well as working on the nervous system. And so then the tension that's holding and protecting, because it's protecting us, it's not trying to harm us. We want to treat our bodies as our favorite pet, and we want to make sure we give it lots of love, take it out for walks regularly, feed it well, hug it, you know, praise it. This is how you want to treat your body, okay? It's not, you're not going to scold your dog when they're hungry, right? You're going to say, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I waited too long, I'm going to give you some food. So we want to make sure that we are respectful and kind to ourselves, and our bodies are an important part of that. So when we work on the acupressure points, what happens is that we're putting pressure on these particular spots along the meridian lines. And that in turn opens up the constriction of the muscle around the point and allows the chi to flow through. And when that happens, then symptoms begin to change and recede. So one of the ways I like to describe this is if you think about a river and you have beavers on this river, and the beavers are doing their job and they're munching on the trees and they're building their dam so that they can have their little babies and their family, and they're doing all this stuff. Well, as they build the dam, what happens is very gradually the water gets blocked off. And people don't often realize this, but the longer a beaver dam has been established, the more it disrupts the ecosystem of that waterway. And this is exactly what happens in our meridian system when these points get blocked. And when you have that happening, then upstream, where the water is coming down from, it keeps coming and then it floods the banks because it has nowhere to go. So it floods, it goes over the side, and then it kills the surrounding area because those areas aren't accustomed to that much water. And then everything on the other side below the dam becomes stagnant. It dries up, and all the life that has been fed by the water flowing through on a regular basis dies because there isn't any fresh water flushing out the debris and giving new life and oxygen and all the lovely things that water gives us. So this is, a great way to think about your own health, that we don't want to have that energy blocked because it creates problems on both sides of the point, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a few of these points, and I'm going to have you find them on yourselves. The first one that I want to start with is, and again, I hope you can, I'll put it up to the screen if you want me to, but Gallbladder 20 is the first one. I didn't want to do a screen share because I wanted you to just be able to see closely there. Gallbladder 20 is a point that's located at the base of the skull. So if you just reach both hands around behind your head, and if you find your spine in the center first, and then move your fingers out so that you're just underneath the bottom edge of the skull, and there's a little indentation on each side that your finger should fit just very nicely into. And if you want, you can move the head up and down a little bit until you feel the fingers finding the right spot. Again, if we were in person, I'd be able to help you and I'd show you exactly where the spot is. But you can't hurt yourself with acupressure. So if you're not on the exact spot, it's okay. Okay? So just take a moment and close your eyes and just press gently on the spot that you found. And this is the GB stands for gallbladder. All of the meridians are named for different organs. And this point helps to relieve tension in the neck, the scalp, eyes, ears, mouth, throat, and brain. It can help for insomnia, dizziness, colds, flus, and headache. So then just gently release it and let your arms rest. I'm getting a nice deep breath. Does anybody have a question about where that point is or how to press or anything like that? Generally, when we're doing acupressure on ourselves, we want to hold a point anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. The longer you hold, the more benefit you're going to get from it. And it's done sitting down, or excuse me, laying down. We're sitting down now. How do you press and for how long? So what you want to do with this point, thank you for your question. Each of the points has a direction at which they are pressed on for maximum efficiency, right? And so what you want to do is with this one, press in and up a little bit toward the skull, right? On the skull, right? So you press in and then let the fingertips come up a little bit so that they're pressing up under that ridge in the skull, okay? And then not real hard. Acupressure is about allowing the chi to flow from your fingers into the points. And so if you press too hard, you're going to cause yourself pain, and we want to stay away from pain, completely away from pain. So a lot of times these points can be very tender, so press less, okay? Don't press as long or as hard. Scale of 1 to 10, you're going to have to feel that for yourself, right? The amount of pressure you put is according to how you feel. And the tendency many times is that we feel like we have to press really hard. But if you think about, in many situations, when we press hard, we're actually creating pain, creating tension. The body wants to protect itself. It says, oh no, something's causing a problem here. And so it tightens up. And what we want is to press in a way that does not cause that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Just taking a look here at the other. Trying to take a look at the other ones. Right. Yes, it's the question is that it's not right beside the spine, but a kind of a notch up along the bottom of the skull. And the answer is yes, absolutely. That's the right position. I'm having trouble getting my thing to scroll. Let's see. Sorry about this. Oh, there it went. Okay. I think that's everything now. Did I miss anybody's question?
The only other one, Amy, I think was just how long. And I think you said, could you repeat that?
Yeah. How long is 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how you are holding it, right? How are you responding? If you feel comfortable, and again, if you're laying back, right, you're on your back and you've got a pillow underneath your arms, so they're being supported, and you're completely at rest. I've held this position for 10 minutes. I can fall asleep like that because as I slowly release, and you'll start to feel the jaw just starts to drop, and everything just gets nice and sleepy and relaxed. So as you go through a sequence like this, give yourself 10 to 15 minutes to do a sequence. Okay. All right, the next one that I like to show you is triple warmer. TW stands for triple warmer, and this is number 17 on the meridian. And triple warmer is, in Chinese medicine, we have the concept of 3 sections. It's over the chest, the solar plexus, and down in the lower belly. And those are considered an organ in Chinese medicine. Sometimes they're called 3 heaters. I like the word triple warmer. And this point is one, especially if you have issues with your jaw, if you have vision issues, it's straight up underneath the ear lobe, and you're pressing up into the skull behind the ear where it connects the jaw to the head. So you can kind of open and close, and you'll feel that there's a really good sized hole there. The finger can just kind of slip into. Yeah, you feel it? Good. And this one can be very tender. So be light, be gentle, be kind, right? Back off, don't do so much. And make sure your arms are relaxed too, because since we aren't actually laying down, yeah, if you come from underneath with this one, and we want to use the fingertips because the thumb has its own pulse. And when we're doing this, ultimately you want to be looking for a sensation of pulsing, because that shows that the point has been released. That's why I can't tell you an exacting amount of time, because everyone's different and we're different days. So what we want to look for is things like the spontaneous deep breath. Oh, I'll tell you that in a second. And also change in the tension in the jaw and the face. And then the other thing is to look for that feeling of pulsing in the fingertips. So someone was asking what the TW was for. That's for triple warmer. It's the name of a set of organs in Chinese medicine. Okay, everybody feel that one? Sometimes if you do too much, you can get a little lightheaded, so don't overdo. This is new, and you're not used to having all the energy flowing. It can really just rush into the head, okay? All righty. I'm just going to keep going down my list. We only have a few minutes left, so I won't get to them all. But we'll do the number 21. And I want to show you this one because it's a little harder for you to find it in person, on your own, I mean, without seeing me do it. So the number 21, this is considered an extra point, which means that it doesn't lie on any particular meridian. It's from a system called Jinshin Do, which I studied many years ago, and they call it an extra point. And so basically what this is, if I try to turn so you can see a little bit better, if you feel along from underneath your earlobe, down the side of the neck, there are muscle bands that if you just stroke very gently, you'll start to feel that there's two big bands of muscle. And for many people, it's really, really tight and it's hard to sense the muscle bands. So that's why I want you to go very slowly. And when you get about halfway down the neck, start to poke in a little bit and see if you can feel the point. These pressure points are designed by whoever you believe designed the body to be these magnificent points that fit our own fingertips in size. So when you do that, you're looking for a point, there's a place where there's like a little dip that the finger just fits nicely into. And I see some of you are using both hands, and that's fine because it is on both sides. So you can do that if you want to. And you just want to, some people like to turn the head just a little bit so they can feel the movement of the muscles and get a sense of where those muscles are. And then bring it back to the center and see if you can more readily feel that little dip where the 21 point is. And this is a really, really wonderful point. It's so helpful for releasing any tension in the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the voice. I had a client years ago who was a professional singer, and she would always come to see me before she performed because she loved this point especially, to open up the chi flow in her throat, and the sounds that came out of her mouth were much richer and fuller. And she always had a great concert if she came to see me first. So if we consider, especially right now, with everything that's been happening in the world, that for many of us, our voices have been shut down. We've been told to stop. And when we're told to stop, that can manifest profoundly in a shutting down and a closing off of the throat area. Because as people get frustrated, they're tired of being at home or don't want to be told what to do, or whatever it is, whatever the stress is that's coming up from inside, it'll come up and it sticks right here. And then the neck just goes, and it just closes down. So this point is really important for everyone right now because we want to learn in this time of opening up and moving forward together how to speak calmly and lovingly to each other and respectfully, and not just to have our frustration exploding all over the place. So this point is going to really help you to feel calm, to relax. Your voice will feel richer and more comfortable. You'll be able to swallow better, all of these things. It's also good for headaches. I didn't mention that. So again, if you think about headaches or other symptoms, what happens is that as that beaver builds its dam, things get blocked off, and then we get symptoms: headaches, jaw pain, shoulder pain, carpal tunnel, whatever. It's all over the body. The possibilities. You're in a body too, And so it's pretty pretty open. Okay, let's see what this one said. Let's see. Patrick, can you read? I can't quite get to it easily. Can you read that last chat that came in?
Sorry, the last comment here, these are so opening, so relaxing that it's a bit of an effort to come back to awake and tense.
Yeah. Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We had another comment from somebody saying that they could feel the point pulsating when they were trying it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I love hearing these things. Wonderful. Well, we only have a couple minutes left, so I want to, see if anyone else has questions. And, again, if there's anything on the handout that important to stay, oh, you find yourself leaning forward. Yeah, so generally, this is something that I would do laying on my back rather than sitting in a chair. So the other way you can do it, if you're at a desk, is you could actually lean on your elbows on the desk. This is, you can do this while you're in a meeting. You're holding the points behind your ears. Nobody's going to know what you're doing. Oh, you're stretching back and you just press a little bit on the back of your head, right? Yeah. So find the position that's comfortable for you. Use them regularly. You can't hurt yourself with anything that I've shown you. The only way to hurt yourself with the movement is is if you overdo. You do too many and you do them too far, too fast. So please don't do that. But yeah, lie down and enjoy it. That's the best advice. Last point along the side of the neck to the massage. So massaging is a very different purpose and experience. And so I'm not teaching massage. Massage is wonderful. I love it and have had massages for years, but it's different. And so massage is working on the muscles. What we're doing in acupressure is working on the energy system. And so it will have a very different effect. And so you're welcome. It's your body. You want to massage yourself, go for it. I would just say, make sure that you're clearly separating out the two activities so that you know what you're doing. I missed that last chat. Patrick, what was that?
Yeah, one was asking, can you give approximate count and time spent on these?
Yeah, so just what I said before, you can spend 2 to 5 minutes on each point. If you go through this sequence, it'll take maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, and you have to judge that for yourself. But if you don't hold them long enough, they won't have an effect. Yeah.
So I'm going to give another minute for people to go ahead and ask any final questions of Amy.
Sure.
But in the meantime, I'm going to put a link into the chat, which will take you to a feedback form. Just a couple questions about this evening's presentation. We want to be able to hear from you about this. So I'm going to go ahead and send that out. I'll also include it in a thank you email that I can send out to registrants. But please share your thoughts and your feedback with us. We really appreciate you being here tonight, and we appreciate hearing from you after the fact.
Thank you, Patrick. So there was another question that came in about hand exercises. And yes, I have a whole slew of different things that I could help you with hands. So it's just limited in this venue, but we could do more on hands. And I also see people privately if you wanted to consult about your own specific situation.
We had a question about the website, and yeah, Amy does have a website. It's on the handout that we provided, and I'll make sure people also have the link to Sugi Health when we do the follow-up email.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just sugihealth.com. It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're welcome. Thank you for your comments. And the breathing is always added into any of these exercises, definitely. When you're doing your acupressure, pay attention to your breath. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. Thank you again, Amy, for being here. We really, really appreciate it. Great. So again, we've recorded Amy's presentation, and so we'll have that available on the website a little bit down the road. And again, if you don't get an opportunity to click on the link that I put in the chat, we'll send up a follow-up thank you to hear your thoughts about, you know, how helpful this was this evening, and maybe what other opportunities we'll have down the road to offer additional workshops like this. I know Live Well is a theme for us. 2020, the library, 2021, the library has been doing a lot of programming around this. So your feedback is helpful as we make decisions about other things to offer down the road. So thanks again, everybody. I want you to have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.